Yeah, new to the CIO role. I chose this topic because I want to demystify what the CIO role is. And I also want to help people understand that it's absolutely totally achievable. I've met a lot of women in IT who are kind of anxious about moving up the ladder, moving up to the next, the next level of responsibility. And I think my main message here is that actually life gets easier. The higher you go up the ladder, life gets easier. And it's on management, and they all say the same thing. Once you're in charge, you're in charge. So even silly things like what time you turn up and leave, the more junior you are, you think you've got to stick to these rules that maybe aren't even written down somewhere, but you think you've got to be first in and last out, and you think you've got to do da-da-da. And then as you go up the ladder, it just gets easier because you're in charge and you have the, it says the courage to redefine, which is one thing I'm going to talk about a lot, that you have the courage and the ability, the authority to, to redefine. So just a little bit about me, in case anyone thinks I'm something special. No, I'm not. I left school with GCSEs, no A-levels. Deliberately, I went to do my dream job in London, joined the Foreign Office because I wanted to travel. And then when I was in my mid to late 20s, I got fed up of sort of officey type jobs and wanted something a bit more exciting, and I did a Master of Science degree in computing, totally funded by the government, very different to today. My fees were paid and my living expenses were paid. And so I was very fortunate there. That then got me into KPMG as an IT consultant, and I just went up the ladder from coding and configuring ERP systems to my last consulting role with PricewaterhouseCoopers. I ran my own consulting practice in Guangzhou in the south of China. We were implementing SAP all over Asia, Singapore, Indonesia, Thailand, China. Yeah, it was a great, fabulous role. And that was really my first taste of leadership. And I liked it. This is me in the middle. This is my son and my daughter. And then we've got, some of the companies that I've worked for in the IT world.
So,
yeah,
you said you enjoyed PwC the most, but it's interesting you haven't put that on this slide. PwC, that is.
Yeah, because it was a while ago. It was before I had kids, so it was 25 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's a really good question. So when I had kids, so my eldest there, Lena, she's 24 this year. The consulting, there's a huge amount of traveling, which is why I loved it. And so in that last role in PricewaterhouseCoopers in the south of China, I had a flat and I lived there, but I was hardly there because I had project teams all over Asia, and I'd be flying to a different one, each week, sometimes 2 or 3 in 1 week, 2 or 3 countries in 1 week. So it wasn't the right thing for being a single parent, which was my choice to be a single parent. So then I moved from that. So I went from poacher to gamekeeper, basically. I went from working on the consulting side to working on the client side. So I took my, years of experience of working with big IT consultancies, KPMG, Coopers & Lybrand, PricewaterhouseCoopers, and went to to work for clients who were employing these big consultancies. So my question, sorry, I thought I heard something.
I didn't say anything. I think there was someone else on the call.
Yeah, so that was and then all these organizations you can see here sort of in the last 15 years where I worked on the client side. They had major business reorganizations and major IT transformations. You find that, I'm going to say later on that being in the CIO role doesn't always make you popular. Doing major business reorganizations does not make you popular. because you're going to lose a lot of headcount, or a certain amount of headcount, and there's going to be restructuring of people's roles, and no one rolls out the red carpet when they see the business transformation consultants walk in the door. But I've enjoyed all of these roles, and I've managed to work within commuting distance of my home. I live in Brighton in Sussex. So I've managed to be a single mum, raise my kids and work and further my career. But that was a good question, thanks. And we've got a couple of new joiners, so welcome.
I have a question as well, if I may. I've just sent you a LinkedIn connection request. I've had a long tech career, and I've been trying to find my first CIO role. You mentioned you worked in your career, you worked your way up. How did you get your first CIO role?
This is my first CIO role. That's why I chose this subject. And I was brought into an organisation, which is an horrible name, ICNARC at the bottom here, Intensive Care National Audit and Research Centre. I was brought in as a consultant to look at their IT. They are they're scientists, they're statisticians. They draw in data from intensive care units across the NHS and benchmark it, basically draw conclusions from it. And they also run clinical trials, which again is which are based in the intensive care units in the NHS. And so they're all very much specialists in their own area, but they didn't have an IT specialist at a senior level. They had an IT manager who kept the lights on and did a very good job of that. But they recognised they needed to be more strategic in their use of IT. It was, so they brought me in for 6 months to have a look at what they could do with their IT, about where it was going and what was needed. And then they offered me the CIO role. And I don't know if anyone here has been freelance or worked in the big consultancies. I do quite often get offered jobs at the end of it or during a consulting role or a contract, and I usually say no. But I just seem to be at the stage of my career, my life, where I thought, okay, give it a go. Be part of it. When you in a consulting, you make the change and then you leave. And had a lovely, good time at Australia Gaslight Company in Sydney, where I went in 2 years after they'd had a major SAP implementation, a business transformation, and it was all going sadly wrong, badly wrong. And they brought me in to find out why and put it right. Oh, camera's on, I love that. Thank you. Can you see me, or can you just see my slides?
Oh, we can see you.
Ah, okay, great. I just like to see if anyone's going, what, what is she talking about?
Just for everybody that's joined, Lindsay is happy for this to be very sort of communicative. So just jump in, ask questions as and when you have them as well.
So I'm not sure if I answered the question there, did I?
Yes, you did. I just was wanting. I'm struggling to get my first CIO role, so I just wanted some tips. I've never been in consultancy, so I don't think I could quite replicate what you've done. But it's interesting to hear. Thank you.
Welcome. And you said you sent me a LinkedIn. Let's chat outside of this because I love mentoring. And
great. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Brilliant. I would absolutely love to. I mean, that would mean a lot to me.
I appreciate it as well. Thank you, Lindsay.
If I help mentor someone into their first CIO role. Oh, I feel quite emotional. Oh, you said that. Yeah. So this is called The View from the Summit, and it does say a little bit about nerves. So public speaking is not my happy place, but I like that there are friendly faces. It's much easier for me when there's a face, so I can see if people are going, oh my god, she's mad, or if I lose the nerves, I either babble or I freeze. So if either of them happen, someone shout at me, and I'll go back to my notes. So I've explained how I got into this role, and then I just want to explain that it's absolutely worth it. We all suffer from imposter syndrome. We have anxiety about responsibility that's going to come with it, that's going to come with a new role. And all I can say is that old adage, feel the fear and do it anyway. Because once you've taken that jump, it's just so much easier. Being the boss, it's easy. And I did a dry run of this talk to my colleagues and my team, actually. They didn't agree with me. They thought my role's really hard. But my personal perspective is, having been in the role and having spoken to other CIO, CTOs, they all say the same. It's so much easier when you're the boss. And of course, you're never the boss. There's always the board of management. There's always your directors. And in fact, your customers are the boss, aren't they? Really. But it is a different perspective. And I'm going to tell you that you have to readjust the way you think, because it's a very different role to whatever role you've been doing before. A C-suite level role is different. The other thing is, I know, Sapna, you said that you're looking for your first CIO role, but with the other people on the call, whatever role you move into, I think what I'm going to say now works. These are things that you can use in any role, tools and techniques, ways of thinking. So I'm trying to go down to my next slide. Right, let me just check. Yeah. So the courage to redefine. And to me, this is so important. So you've got your first CIO role, or CTO, or CDO, Chief Data Officer, or CSO, Chief Security Officer. And this is a very, very different role to anything you'll have had before. So you have to redefine yourself, who you are, and what this role means to you. And I really am using the word redefine deliberately. So you're no longer a manager, keeping the lights on, running the infrastructure, running the major change programs, leading the coding factory, whatever it is you're doing. You're now the architect, you're the visionary for what the IT organization can and should be doing for the organization that you work in. And
Lindsay, sorry to butt in. We have a hand up. I don't know what your name is. I've just got you as your consultant guru.
Yes. Thanks, Kelly.
That's all right.
So,
what's your name?
So my name is Shweta, and
Shweta.
thanks for accepting me into the call. Sorry, I was a couple of minutes late. So I do have a question regarding what Lindsay was just talking about, and I did not want it, for her to go a lot further off the topic. So I've been consultant for more than a decade, and I have run my own company, for some time, and then I went back into freelancing and consulting for my personal reasons and goals. And then I'm now venturing, it's like going back into doing the business, into consulting again, my own business. So I wanted to understand, because I've been into consulting, and yes, I agree with, that at the end of the project, we are offered the role of, taking it, because if a job well done as a consultant is when you can, get your exit in a smoother way. I want to understand how much different it is to be in a C-suite, full-fledged C-suite role than running or being your own, manager kind of a thing when you're doing a freelance consulting. Because I do get tempted on very much border side of, okay, maybe I should just take that role and then not worry about every 3 months or 6 months. But then I don't like micromanagement. I don't like a lot of things which comes as a package of it. So, but then how did your transition made you feel in terms of, how different did it make you feel in terms of empowering you to make your own decisions and bringing the change you wanted to?
Yeah, great question. Sorry, I'm just trying to get a glass of water. Can you get Mum some water, love? And I've done exactly what you've done. I had 20 years freelancing because as a parent, as a single parent, it was the only way I could manage it. 5 weeks a year wasn't enough for me to raise 2 children. So I would take, the 3-6 month contracts and have a break. Like when they both joined infant school, I had the first term off, and when they, blah, blah. Thank you. So the difference between the consulting or, freelancing and permanent role is, there's a huge difference in terms of you're now part of an organization. You've got to set your goals, you've got a budget to manage, you've got to manage other people's careers, you've got longer term relationships to manage. So quite often going as a consultant, it's the honeymoon period, unless you're going in to do the business transformations, but often you're going in to solve a problem, bring in a skill set they haven't got. So, it's honeymoon time, but when you're actually employed by an organization, you have a much, much longer term perspective on it. And therefore, you need to invest more in relationships, in the long-term planning. You have to get used to only having 5 weeks a year off. It sounds silly, but I've struggled with that. As a freelancer, I could work, 9 or 10 months a year, as long as I could manage my financial obligations at home. So it's a really important question, Shweta. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
And again, happy to chat offline.
Sure, I will connect later. Yes. Thank you.
Via LinkedIn or something. So what does it mean to be a CIO? So the first thing is about you. Who are you? You've got a shift shape. You're not the gardener anymore. You're the horizon scanner. So on our board, on the in-out board, we have an IT representative. He runs the EMEA for Emphasis. So big cheese, in the IT consulting world. And his first piece of advice to me was, Lindsay, the CIO should be spending 70% of their time looking outside of the organization, horizon scanning. So you've got to know what's going on out there in the IT world. You've got to see what other organizations are doing, and see what the innovations are in technology, but also innovations in ways of working. You were saying, Shweta, you don't like the micromanagement. Well, one thing as a CIO, you shouldn't be getting micromanagement, because all the other C-suite people have their own areas to look after, but you have to be aware not to micromanage as well. So you've got to learn to delegate. I don't mean you personally, because I'm sure you're good at it, but one has to learn that I am not here to do a job, a hands-on job. I'm here to be the architect of the IT organization for this business that I now work for. So that you've got to think about who you are. Say if you're really superb at running infrastructure, or running, cloud environments, and you keep the lights on, you have great availability, great performance, you're great at managing the cost of it all. When you become the CIO, you don't, have to become super duper even better at that, because now you have somebody else to do that for you. Your job as CIO is not to become even better at what you used to do. Your job is to become a great CIO. And that's probably a very, very different role to the one that you've come from. So you move from gardener to horizon scanner, from doer to delegator, and you drive the values. You drive the values of the organization. And that is, they are mostly behavioral, and they need to be modeled. So if there is, bullying in an organization, or lack of inclusivity, where does that come from? It comes from the top, doesn't it? Always. Because if it was coming from the bottom, the top would stamp on it and stamp it out, put that little wildfire out, wouldn't they? So driving the values, again, is up to you. You behave as you want your people to behave. I brought in a real no blame culture, and it was really quite hard, because it was a change of culture. And, a year, 2 years down the line, we're getting better. We're not there, and there's no such thing as perfect. But as my kids' primary school teacher used to say, practice makes better. No one's going to be perfect, but practice makes better. So what does it mean to you? That's the first bit. Who are your team, and what do you want from them? Are they just there to keep the lights on? Well, everybody wants that in IT, that's the first thing we are there to do. But is it just that? Are they there to innovate? Are they there to bring in, you know, all the new technologies, the cloud and AI and all this good stuff? Are they there to do everything themselves, or are they there to find partnerships with best of breed suppliers, consultants out there in the marketplace and bring in those skill sets? These are all, you know, questions that you need to understand. Ask yourself and your team, because they'll know a lot. They've been doing this, you know, for a long time. They will have ideas. Are you there to drive business growth? So for me, we're a charity, so it's not about driving business growth, but I have spent most of my career in very commercially positioned organizations, and it was all about business growth, driving business growth and cutting business costs. So is it your job to drive business growth as the CIO? That will depend on your organization, of course, and what they do. But you've got to ask all these questions. You can't go in assuming, you know, what the role is. You will have ideas, of course. You will go in with ideas, but so the next thing you've got to understand, and this is again something very, very different, and it's absolutely key, and I'm speaking from experience, your relationships. Who are your stakeholders? And don't be afraid to get out one of those stakeholder spider things, you know. Spider things, or whether you know, Excel with who they are, what the message is, why is it important, you know, are they to be informed, are they decision makers, are they influencers? You'll need to know all this because your stakeholder group has just changed the day you took that job. Your first stakeholder group has got to be the board, because they employed you, and you are either on the board or you will report to the board as the CIO, and you need to know what they need and what they expect. You probably have maybe met them once or twice in the corridor or in a meeting, or maybe you've never met them at all. It's absolutely your job to get out there and network with the board. There are obvious ones to network with: the chair of the board. If there's an IT representative, they always network with the accountant on the board, because they hold, you know, the purse strings. There may be different relationships, there are different responsibilities. It may be somebody with a data responsibility. We have a Caldecott guardian because we hold NHS data. So find out who they are and get out there and meet them. Literally, call them up or email them or text them. Hi, new in the role, would love to have 10 minutes, half an hour to understand what it is you'd like from this role, and what do you see as the role of IT? And they might say, well, I want you to tell me that. That's fine. Yeah, I can do that too. But they will have ideas. So you absolutely, this is not about managing down. This is absolutely not about managing down. This, your first thing you need to do is manage up and manage out, not manage up. Network up and network out. Any questions on that? Just checking the time.
Would you also include if you have them non-execs in that stakeholder group as well?
Oh yes, yeah. Good question. Definitely, the non-execs are key to. They will be influencers, won't they? Very much influencers, even if they're not decision makers. If they don't have a vote, they will absolutely be influences, Claire, and thank you for raising that, because when you do your stakeholder map, yes, you know your decision makers, but influencers are, you know, there's the schoolgirl error to forget about the influencers, so thank you for mentioning that. They are the ones that the execs on the board will turn to. Has anyone had a non-exec role?
I did for a very
I have
short
one.
period of time.
Okay, sorry, Shweta, I think you were first there.
Oh,
Tell us
all right.
about that, please.
Yes, so I was in an NED role for a very short period of time, but honestly, I did not get what I was seeking at that point. Probably I felt that I needed to have a bit more exposure before I could go and have those conversations. But now, in hindsight, when I look at it, it was probably not the best of the role kind of stuff with the company I went in with the NED roles and stuff. And I never looked back at it after that. But one of the reasons why I went there was for exposure, and I was not getting that enough.
Okay, good. It's, I mean, great analysis, isn't it? Once you've been in a role like that.
Yes, I mean, I would definitely look up to taking that in future, but probably not in the near time. As I can see, I want to focus more on growing myself into this consulting business, and probably take up any role like a CIO and stuff, because I've been offered that couple of times. I just don't know if it is the right one for me, and probably I do have a bit of, the imposter syndrome of like, am I ready for it or not, which is the answer I'm seeking for in this call, to be honest.
Well, do you know, if they've asked you, I think that if they've asked you, then I think they've answered your question about whether you're right for it or not. But I'm not going to, counsel
Yes.
you in an open forum. But well done you. No, well done you, because you did the role, you did the analysis. You've now said to yourself, right, I am not going to do that again until I'm ready.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, totally admire that.
I think just one bit on that, I would like to add, like the one thing that role taught me greatly was the importance of knowing what not to do,
Yeah,
because I mean, being the kind of a person I am, I've always looked into what are the different things I would be enjoying to do and stuff like that. But that role gave me an experience of actually trimming down my ambitions into saying like, okay, this is something I can keep out of my scope of things to do this year or in couple of next 3 years plan. And since then, I started to implement this approach of finding out the first thing in any new project is what not to do, rather than going and doing exactly what everyone have been doing. So
yes, it's absolutely key.
yeah.
Thank you. Is it
Yeah.
okay if I move to Sapna?
Yes,
Have
sorry.
you
Yes,
finished,
go ahead.
Shweta? No, please don't apologize. Sapna, tell us about your LED
Sorry,
experience.
I was just going to say I have a trustee role at the moment, and I've done some board advisory roles.
Yeah,
So I'm looking for another one as well. So I think it's great experience. But you're right, Shweta. You have to pick the right organisation. You've got to feel really into and passionate about the organisation and its vision. Otherwise, you won't get anything from it. You won't enjoy it. That's what I think. I haven't been in NED for a long time, but that's what I think so far.
I agree. I agree, because I've done the, trustee roles for charities, and if it's not right, if there's no shared vision, if you think that what they're doing is just turgid and boring, and there's no insight and there's no vision, you're just going to drag yourself down. And yeah, you're right, both of you. Choose the opportunity. Brilliant. Shall I move on? Is that okay? Hopefully. Right, now this is the difficult one, okay? This is the one that is, if you've ever had a consulting role and gone into like business transformations, that's when the people don't roll out the red carpet. They can see you coming in with your target operating model 101, in your briefcase. So you've done, quite a lot of hard work already. You have redefined yourself into your new role. You have thought about your team and spoken to your team about what they feel their role is and what is their role in the organization. Are they gardeners or horizon scanners? Are they architects or bricklayers? And you've helped translate that. You've now got to help translate that vision to your team. And that could be hard. You've also redefined your network. So you've redefined who your stakeholders are. So you've done a lot of hard work already, but now you've got to have the conviction to lead and to get yourself in, into that CIO role and start delivering it. So it can be about making tough decisions and stand by them. There's nothing worse than making a tough decision and there's a load of pushback and you do a U-turn. Sometimes you have to. I've just had to do it last week, but that's absolutely fine, because you can say, yeah, okay, that wasn't the right way to do it. I'm going to step back. I'm going to have a rethink. But you don't want to do that too early on, because then you will just be setting a pattern that whatever you come up with, they can push back. Whoever they are, they can push back against it and get it overturned. So your authority, your respect is gone immediately. So you'll face resistance. People like the status quo, even if it's broken. They've been doing it for 10 years, 5 years, 20 years. They like it. They know what they're doing. They come in every day. They know what to do. So you've got to paint and then you've got to have the it through. So first you need a vision, call it a vision, a mission. We won't worry about what the differences are there, but you talk to your stakeholders, especially the board and the other C-suite people. Speak to the other leaders of business departments, because you are now the supplier. They are your customers, they are your clients. It's finance, HR, sales, distribution, manufacturing, whoever the heads of those are, you now deliver to them. So speak to them, find out what it is they see, what they want, and come up with a very simple vision. I'm going to show you some examples in a minute. They are just examples. Obviously, it's different for each organization. Yeah, but when you've got this vision, and the vision, I will just quickly show you one. Let's say the vision is to create advanced technology solutions that help ICNARC succeed, blah. Okay, that's the vision. I'm trying to go up and I don't know how to. Yeah, so that's the vision. And you need to communicate this relentlessly. It's no good doing it on your first CIO talk at the all staff day or the town hall or whatever it is they call it where you work. You say it once, you're up there for 20 minutes, and then everyone goes away and they've got their BAU stuff to do. They're running the departments. They've got their own tough decisions, their own budgets, their own people issues, their own operational issues. What you've said is it's just gone. It was very interesting, but it's gone. So Saatchi and Saatchi, the advertising people, say that you need to repeat a message 7 times before people start noticing it and absorbing it. So next time you're outside, have a look for a Coca-Cola advert. Why are they advertising Coca-Cola? We all know what it is. Many of us drink it. Look around you and see how many times you see that brand advertised. And that will give you an idea of how relentless you need to be in your communication of what your vision is for the IT department in your organization. Any questions on this? I think let's just talk a little bit more about resistance. I maybe skipped over that a bit. So if people are not happy, what is it that they want from you generally if they're not happy with the way things are going? Don't have a guess what most people want.
They want you to understand what their concerns are, what they're not happy about.
Absolutely. Yeah, they want to be heard. They want to be heard. You need to give them those opportunities. Claire, were you going to say something? I feel you were just.
Yeah, I was just going to say that they need to be listened to. So yeah, exactly the same.
There you go. Okay, speech finished. Talk finished. People need to be listened to. Give them the space. Absolutely give them the space. And for me, that's really hard because I'm not going to stop whinge bagging or stop white anting or stop, undermining or whatever. But everybody needs to be listened to. And, quite often at the end of that listening process, whether it's half an hour or 3 months, they may still grumble. But at least they feel listened to. They felt they had the opportunity to talk to you, and that you respected them enough to give them that time. Okay, I'm just going to go through a few. These are just the tools. I think the other bits around, like redefining the role and working out who your stakeholders are, they're really the key things. But I'm just going to give you a couple of tools to use, and these are all from the web. My point being that it's all out there. You don't need to reinvent this wheel. And this is not the hard bit. The hard bit are the other things that I've been talking about: stakeholder management and redefining yourself. So to create, I quite this one. To create advanced technology solutions that help ICNOC succeed through stable infrastructure, quick support, smart digital. I quite like that one. This one is, I like all of them, but anyway, these are a few examples of. Does anyone have anything to say or ask about these?
I just like the fact that the simple, I think the simple part is really key, because I think we often can get wrapped up in our IT technology, our language, because and the business don't speak that.
Yeah, absolutely. Why is it important to keep it simple?
Understand.
Yeah, because they understand it. Absolutely. Yeah. If I said, I was going to build, the cloud-based technologies with AES 256 encryption and SSD, whatever disks and blah, blah, blah to NIST 750 standards, they're going, what? Walking away because they feel a bit stupid because I'm using language they don't understand, and she's trying to make me look silly. I don't understand it, But if you say it's safe and it's growing and it cuts costs and it speeds up new projects, everybody goes, yeah, I want that. You can say this is my mission for our IT department, or you can say the mission of our IT department, or what I've heard from the board or the heads of is that they would like this. They would like the IT department to create advanced technology solutions, blah, blah. So you could, are you taking ownership on a personal level or an IT level? Or are you saying the organization has said to me, this is what the mission should be, and therefore that's what I'm out to do. So if you've said, right, these are the mission statements, and then they're going to say, well, how are you going to do that? And usually they're laughing or smirking because they think it's not possible. And you just have to take that on the chin. So you need an IT strategy. So mine is much more my own personal one for ICNOC is much more pictorial, and I couldn't find an example on the web of a nice pictorial one. But because this is being recorded, I didn't want to share my own ICNOC stuff. So I think this, mission is, this one's nice because here you've got the mission, and this is a real one. It's the government of Canada. I nicked it from them. So here's your mission, and then enable a modern workplace, think enterprise first, use cloud and compute. So my strategy for ICNOC is more at this level. It's more about the guiding principles. So mine says customer first, collaborate, cloud, outsource, and a couple of others. And I put that together after a lot of talks with the board, with the network I was telling you about, the board, the heads of, and the directors, because I wanted them to read something they recognised. So when I put it in front of them, I asked for that. Oh, that's what I asked Lindsay for. And it's all, it's not from me. It's all from them. They have to be able to recognise the language that you use. Claire, that was your point, and very well made. And then the goals, I'm not sure on mine, I've got goals. I kind of go straight from guiding principles to the next level that I'm going to show you, which is the roadmap. And then this one I like because it's got pictures on, although the pictures aren't very good, because it says desired IT site environment, and it's got a picture of people. So anyway, I went to one organization where so if we talk about IT site, the data center was underneath the canteen. And, you know, one flood from the canteen or one fire in the canteen. So one of the first things I did was suggest that we move the data center somewhere else. And I shouldn't have said that. Nobody likes a smart aleck, but you know, it is an example that site environment is important. This roadmap is very much like my roadmap. So here in these coloured blocks, I've got applications, infrastructure, data management, innovation. There's a whole list going down in blocks, and I've coloured them because it's easy. And then I put here, say for applications, I've got a 3-year roadmap, but broken down into quarters, so a little bit more detail. And under applications, the heading might be intensive care audit application. That might be the heading. Refresh, renew, intensive care audit application. So then in year 1, it would be the first 2 quarters would be around this moment, what works and what doesn't work. And then the second Q2, Q3, Q4 might be setting a strategy for what we want it to look like, what the business want it to look like. And then the second year, quarter 1 and 2 might be about getting down to the detail of design, high level design, going out to market, finding the suppliers that can help with this, and then building the first pilot. So you can see at the end of 2 years, there's a roadmap. And at this point, we might have the desired end state. And at this point, we might have the first pilot. Can you see my cursor moving? Yes, you can see what I'm pointing at. So that would work then. And this is not a project plan. And if anyone starts adding lines under here, you know, you don't. It's not a project plan. It's a roadmap, and it needs to be a plan on a page. Needs to be simple, needs to be in language that everybody can understand. So if Q1, Q2, I put discovery, everybody goes, what's that? What's that? But it was language I stuck with. So I chose to educate them on what discovery meant in IT terms. Yeah, and so you've got discovery, then you've got, I forget what I said now, but I remember high level design was here, finding the suppliers, doing the first little tiny baby steps, the first little pilot. So by the end of this year, we've got the pilot in place, but it's just a roadmap. And again, how often do we want to communicate this? Yeah, I didn't hear you, but I saw your lips move.
Often.
Yeah. Often. Relentless. I send out monthly reports to the directors, and then once every quarter to the board, and this plan on a page is there every time, and it's there at every staff meeting. And I just want people to become so accustomed with it that it's almost boring, because then they get it and they kind of buy into it and they become familiar with it. So those are just a few tools, and I've realised we're coming up to quarter 2. These are just a few tools that you can use. And again, to me, that's the less important bit, because that's all out there on the web. I think what we've talked about today about, you know, going for your first NED role and imposter syndrome, and about redefining yourself into a CIO role. Because if you don't, that's when you will feel totally uncomfortable and horrible. You will know when you're doing that redefining. I think when you start to feel differently, you feel more like a round peg in a round hole. When people behave differently to you, they come to you, the board come to you for advice, or they ask you to present papers on particular things that they're interested in around IT. And that's when you know, okay, they're coming to me, they get me, they get my role, or we have a common understanding of that role. So now it's about sustaining our community. So we're all working in IT, and I'm sure it's most of us, probably all of us, are working in a male-heavy environment, and that's fine. But let's sustain our own community. Let's think about who helped us get here. When I was in consulting, freelancing, 3 of my quite well-paid contracts came from one person. She was a PMO contract, freelance PMO, program management office person. When she got a new client, when she was in a client, environment, she would, if they were looking for a program manager, business transformation, she'd say, I know someone. So she got me 3 roles. And you must have people, I hope, in your world that come to you because they know they trust you, and and they need something from you, but you need something from them. So you didn't get here alone, and you won't stay here alone. So that's part of your networking with your stakeholders. So now you're in a position of power and influence, and what do you do? What can you do? So in my workplace, for example, for the first time ever, I'm in a position to have a training budget. So I've offered all my team, right, there's the strategy, there's the 3-year roadmap. Go and find to improve our CV. We always want to get that next skill. So I've offered this in my organization, and they love it. And I've said, the training that you ask for or request doesn't have to be mapped to the strategy or mapped to the roadmap. It might be something that you say, Lindsay, I found this and I think this would be really useful to us because. And there's been a few of those where they've come to me and said, we need this new way of working called, or whatever, there's loads of them. So that's one way to pay it forward, isn't it? To enable other people to improve their, to get to do their professional development. Whoops. And the other thing is, we talked about you now bringing the values. So build a culture. To me, this is important. Build a culture of psychological safety. So as I mentioned earlier, I've brought in this no blame culture, and gosh, it's hard. People don't like it, do not like it, but I'm sticking with it, and it's working. And now I find it's being reflected back at me that when there's an issue, in another team, no names are mentioned. Yes, it has to come to the senior leadership team, of which I'm one, to say we've had this issue, these are the steps we've taken to fix it, and these are the steps we have taken to make sure it doesn't happen again. And no names are mentioned, which is great. I think that's absolutely fabulous. Celebrate the wins. I know people say that, but it really does work. Like we're a charity and I don't have budget for lunches or, treats or anything like that. But I can bake and I can get, very, very low cost things off unnamed websites that, you can get. We did a clinical audit of cardiac arrests in hospitals, and the team that built the systems, at the end, I found these little heart badges, little red hearts. So a team of 10, and they were about 60p each, these badges on, the unnamed website. So what did that cost me? £6. And I couldn't claim that money back. That's not the point. But 10 people have a little badge, and they were recognised. They were absolutely recognised. Nobody's ever worn it. That doesn't matter. The fact is that they were recognised and celebrated. So there are ways, Okay, so this is the bit about share your experiences. So I'd love to hear more. We've only got 7 minutes, but anyone would like to share about they've been in a new role and whether any of these tools or techniques, you might have called them something else, but what would work? So if you were going into a new CIO role, or if you've already moved into a new role in your own world. Yeah, Shweta?
I have actually a question for you. Sorry, one more question for you is when we go into this new project slash roles at the beginning of our time in that project and that with that people, sometimes people have had that kind of consultant come in through their door, bringing their bag of tricks, saying like, okay, I'm going to come here and resolve this problem. And you were you were like extremely on point when you said people are looking at you with a smirk, saying, okay, when we say we are here to solve this problem, and then sometimes we do get a response saying we have already spoken about this to other consultants. We've already given our time and artifacts and resources already, talking about
not
this.
Again.
Yeah, not again. And in fact, that is actually one of this situation I'm facing in my current client. I'm consulting at the moment at a not-for-profit kind of a thing, and this is my second experience with a charity firm, and it's a resounding no to anybody I go and ask a question when they are like, we are too busy, we have already done this. How do we navigate that situation? I mean, I have done that, but I would like to know a little bit more from expert advice or experiences.
Sure. Yeah. It's so the first thing is not again.
Mm.
You just you can't have that argument. Just don't even go there. Just, oh, really? Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Thank you for sharing. So just let that go. The bit about people not giving you time, there's really only one place to go, and that's the top. That's the sponsor. You can't make anything happen in an organization that organization doesn't want to happen. You don't even work there. You've been brought in from the outside for some reason. I'm going to make one up. You've been brought in to migrate them to SharePoint. Okay, nobody wants it. You can't do that without sponsorship, and it has to come from the top. It has to come from them, and it has to come from the top. And what I found is that I'm trying to put this politely, that you don't want to be the puppet master, but you almost do. So you go to the directors or the sponsor, whoever it is, and say, this is your vision. We've already spoken, right? This is your vision. This are your stakeholder groups that you've already been through this with them. So they know what their vision is. They know what their stakeholder groups are. And they're the only ones that can tell you that, because you're new to the organization. They know who the decision makers are. They know who the influencers are. They know who the resistors are. And that compelling message, that compelling mission.
Yeah.
And if you can find a really good silver bullet, like this system is end of life, it's going. There was nothing you could do about that. There was nothing anyone in the world, the message to them when they say, we like our system. I know you love it. Oh, and you're so good at it. You've been doing it for so long. It's end of life. Microsoft are withdrawing it, or whoever, Atlassian are withdrawing it. Let's see if we can get something, but that has to come from the top, Shweta.
Yeah.
The more you bat against that brick wall, the more they will realize that you don't have support from the top, that there is no sponsorship from their managers, the people who pay their wages, the people who write their annual reviews.
True.
Yeah.
I mean, I have done that. It's like go back to the sponsor and say, like, look, you need to have a better communication plan within your team to let them know what changes you want to bring into this into the team and stuff. But sometimes I feel like as if should I do a bit more than, directly going there back to the sponsor. And it's kind of like not wanting to be that person who's going and complaining about them, like, look, they're not cooperating. But at the end, that's the last resort I have taken a couple of times. And I just wanted to know if I'm doing it
So a couple of things. You're not going in complaining. Okay, you're going with solutions, not problems. Here's the problem. No one is talking to me about their SharePoint migration. The solution is, I'd like you to do communication, blah, blah, who you're, blah, blah. I'd like you to make your team aware of their responsibilities. Happy to join you in the meeting. But remember, no one reports to you. You don't pay anyone's wage.
Yeah.
And I had another one and it's gone out of my head. No. Oh, yes. Tell them how much it's costing.
Yeah.
But so I've had meetings with list them out, 7 people in that meeting, 10 in that, in person hours, in FTE equivalent hours. This is the effort that's gone in, not your costs, the cost of their business, and yet I can't see a way forward, without sponsorship from yourself, without just call it sponsorship.
Yeah. Thank you.
It may work, it may not. We all have the same problems later. They want us to do it, but they don't want to put the time in.
Yeah.
And
it's a hit and miss, but yes. I wanted
we
to
are
know,
out of time talking.
Yeah, I wanted to know if there's a magic wand I'm missing out on.
Yeah. Well, when you find it,
Thank you.
Okay, Kelly, we're out of time.
We are. Thank you so much, everyone.
Somebody
that
else
joined.
jumped in there. We've got Saga. Saga, how long have you been there?
Saga's been on
the
whole time. They joined not long after.
So do you have anything, Nat or Saga? I haven't heard from you.
No,
sorry, I didn't call you.
I just I was nodding along to a lot of it because of we know the change from certain roles, and it's my biggest thing. I think just being a woman is the whole not. I hate the word imposter syndrome. I don't believe in it. It really annoys me because I think it makes it the person's problem and not society and everyone else's problem, because you only feel that way because of others. So my biggest thing is, I suppose, I know where I am and I know what I have to offer and deliver, and what level I'm working at. It's just having others believe that.
Yes.
Regardless of how you sound, because I have heard men say less of what I'm saying and been believed that they're CIO material, but not for me. So I suppose, have you experienced that? Is it probably a question? And
oh God, yes.
Oh God, yes.
We all know that we can be twice as smart as the males and not get the roles. It's just a society, and I'm not excusing it, but we have to, we are living in it. And there was absolutely no doubt in my mind that whatever it is that males do, whether it's, run IT organizations or play football or paint. I've just been to the Musée d'Orsay in Paris. It's all painted by blokes. Where were the women painters? They were there, but no, we value what men do, whether it's football or painting or IT, or and it makes me feel quite angry actually now. Just reminding myself of this, that what men say has a value far exceeding the exact same words that we say. Yeah, and I don't have the answer, except for my last slide, which was, bring the community up with us. Oh, there you are.
Yeah, I thought I'd say hi. Sort of lurking in the corner. But yeah, that's I suppose the biggest thing. I mean, a lot of it I was nodding along to, and my biggest thing is that whole. I suppose one thing I would say is that, and I admit to this myself, is I'm great when I'm doing the job, but I hate the whole self-sell thing. Like the whole mentality of like selling myself to other people. I tend to sell my team, not myself, which apparently is a bad thing, but okay. So yeah, I don't know. I think I don't know whether that's a barrier or it's just.
It's an absolute barrier, Nat, and you've got to get over it. Yeah, because you can't be the best kept secret. You just can't be the best kept secret. You're never going to get, be recognised for who you are and what you do. And I've really struggled with that my whole career. But it was one of the Charles Handy, I think, one of the 1980s. I'm dating myself. One of the management consultants. He said professional services, something like 70% exposure, 20% image, and 10% delivery or skills. So you've got to have the exposure, which means you've got to blow your own trumpet, and you can't be the best kept secret. No one's going to recognise you for that.
Yeah, I know.
It sounds harsh, and it's really, really hard.
As much as a male counterpart.
Sorry?
You do have to do it twice as much as a male counterpart would have to.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's a trick, and I don't know what it is, but it's blowing your trumpet without blowing your trumpet. So it's best to keep it factual. Start sending out weekly reports to somebody, whoever, updates, briefs, call it whatever you want. Or get in front of the all staff. The little tricks I've been doing is no one used to report what IT did, so I started weekly, and then they got a bit bored and asked for it monthly. Monthly reports. I go to other teams, whether it's sales, distribution, finance, manufacturing. I'll go to their team meetings and say, can I have 10 minutes just to talk about IT and get some feedback, because you're my customers and I need to hear from you. And just use those 10 minutes to wrap up a slide that says, I just put one up at the all staff day, 20% of all incoming emails were stopped before they hit the inbox because of the technology that stops spam. A certain number of malicious attacks were stopped this month. How many tickets were raised and were they solved? Bring stuff, but stuff they don't know. And what do people think you're doing? If you don't tell people what you're doing, what do they think you're doing?
Yeah.
Nothing. Yeah. People assume you're not doing anything. And it's the truth. Just find little ways to blow your own trumpet without blowing your trumpet. Start doing regular reports to people. Make sure you get up at all staff day to do something interesting for them, something they've never heard of before. Or just something very simple like availability, availability and performance stats, something just to show them what IT do. The first time I did that at ICNARC, they all fell off their seats. They'd never seen it before. And it had nothing to do with me, because it was stuff that was all put in place before I got there. But I put the stats up on the wall. And they're going, oh, thanks, we didn't know. Anyway, blow your trumpet.
Well, thank you again. Do appreciate Saga had to jump off, but she had been on the majority of the time.
Bless her. I wanted to call out everyone's name, but I didn't see her. So anyway, but thanks everyone. Catch me on LinkedIn. Send me any questions. Love to chat one-on-one, get a bit more depth about anything you want to follow up on. Very happy to, following my last slide, very happy to mentor other people.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much, Lindsay.
Cheers.
Thanks, all.
Thanks, Lindsay. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.